Alright, we just got done finishing setting up the registration part of our app. So we've got data that we enter in our phone under the registration page, or register. We run some checks in the back, we send up to the database the username, the email, and the password. Of course, it sends out a verification email. They have to click on that and to log in and stuff, and if it doesn't verify, like if the number's not right, which if you go back to the past few videos you'll see all that, if it's not right, then they can't log in and they got to retry the registration again. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go create the login, because now that we have data that we can get in the into the database, now we can log in and do something. So we're going to keep it looking like our registration page, so we don't really need this here because they should already know what their password is. We will incorporate later down the road some things where forgot password or forgot mainly forgot password or forgot the email address, and we'll incorporate those in there so that we can send them an email for them to reset their stuff. But like I say, that's farther down the road. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to grab this part of the register code, and we're going to grab this part of the register code and put it over in the login page. So if we go over here to our layout and we go to the register fragment, and if you remember, we had this area down here called the footer. So we'll grab that first. Go ahead and grab the button. So you want the footer. Oh, look at that. Yeah, so the footer, and then you got a linear layout in the footer, and then the button. Alright, so we're going to copy that. Go over here to the login. You can go ahead and delete this text box, which basically says all it has is this login in it. So we'll go back over here and hit the delete key. Go ahead and paste in the thing that you just copied from there. Alright, which is a linear layout. I made a couple changes to this. Basically what I did was, because it's going to be different now, it's going to, of course, have a linear layout, but if you remember, you had this little thing here, already have an account. Click here to go back to the login page. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to say don't have an account. Click here to get one. Alright, and then that's going to lay above this, and it's going to say login over there. So if you go back over here, the changes that I made, everything else should stay the same. Okay, we're going to have to change this to login footer rather than register footer, and you don't really need, you're going to copy this text view, put it below this one, and remember these are laying horizontally, so they'll all line up. Don't have an account, question mark, space, click here, space, to create one. So we just got them right here, and of course I left that the same, changed this to button go to register rather than button go to login. And then, like I said, we added to create one down here, and you'll see it here in just a minute. And then down here in the button, we changed this to login. We also changed it from button register to button login. And you do want to keep IDs unique throughout your app, so you don't want two buttons with the same ID even if they're on different pages, because it becomes confusing and could potentially crash your app. Alright, so let's go look at this. We're going to run it. And go back over here to the phone. As you can see, the Gradle's building down here. Alright, so when it comes up, this is what you got. Don't have an account? Question mark. Click here to create one. Alright, now there's not any programming in here yet. So we'll take care of that in our next video. We're going to go ahead and put our login email and password, and you only need one of each. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here to Fragment Register. We don't need this text view or this one down here. What we do need, however, is we need this linear layout. And honestly, so we'll go ahead and grab that. We'll go ahead and grab the whole thing. So that's one whole linear layout. So let's go Control C. Let's make sure that we got the top one. You want to make sure that you have whatever this line is. You want the top one and you want the bottom one, which we have. We go over here to Login, and that is going to lay above the other linear layout. Alright, so first thing that we don't need is we don't need this. We don't need that password stuff. So we can get rid of that. Delete. Hit backspace. Alright, we need the username. Actually, we don't need the username. Let's get rid of the username. We just need email and password because that's going to be our login. So get rid of the username. We're going to get rid of the verification email. Delete. And we're going to get rid of the verification password. Delete. Alright. Now, let's see, we're going to call this, because we got password, so let's call it the ID login pass. Once again, you can name these whatever you want, and we'll call this login email. Alright, so, and everything else should be pretty much the same. You want the text password, you want the text email. Like I said, it's not gonna, I mean, we'll still run it for our checks like we did in the other one. But once again, like I say, eventually it's gonna either come back, it's good, it's gonna let you log in, or it's not. Alright, everything else should be pretty much the same. We're gonna lay this above. Well, actually, we're gonna guess what we'll do here is rather than lay out above, because that's going to push it all the way to the bottom, we'll lay out in center apparent. We'll see how that looks, and we might do a couple other things with it, but right now that's the main thing that we need. Everything else should be pretty much the same. You got a hint of email address, a hint of password, your text size. This should all be the same as your registration page. So we'll run this and we'll see how she looks. If we go back over here to our phone, Gradle's building. Alright, and there you go. So you got email, password. Click here to log in. Alright, so it's looking pretty good. Go over here, like I say, you can bounce back and forth and check it. And if you go over here, once again, if you click here, it's going to take you back over here. Alright, so the next thing that we'll do is go ahead and we'll go ahead and get these buttons set up in this video, so that, or I should say these buttons set up so that they're actually doing what we want them to do. So just like over here in our register fragment. If you remember right, we had to go up here, we had to basically click the text view or make a text view variable, pop it in here, give it an on-click listener. We had to implement the on-click listener, and then down here on click we got a switch case statement. So we're going to do the same thing over here in the login. So once again, we're going to do the view V, we're going to do the text view button go to, except this time it's going to be register, and button register, because right now we're in the register fragment. So if we go over here, I went ahead and typed them in. So we got view V, text view button go to register is what we're going to name it. Button login is what we're going to name it. Remember, we had to alt enter on button to get it to implement it or import the class. So we're going to import that class. Up here in the top, we're going to implement and on click listener, and then once it's there, you just hit tab. And of course, if you remember, we have to import the method or implement the method. So you right click on it, click on the little light bulb over here, click implement method, and there's one method with it. So go ahead and click OK. It pops it down here on click view. Alright, so now in here on our on create view, we got to do a few things. Remember how we take this and we basically put V equals for the view, so that we don't have to type in view every time. So we're going to take care of that right now. Alright, so what we did here was, of course, this whole statement right here was down here in the view, or in the return, I should say. And we basically said, okay, V is going to equal that. So V equals all that. So I just cut it from here and pasted it up here, and then called this V. Then we went ahead and got our button go to register. Of course, we cast it to text view, found it by ID, and make sure you get button go to register and not button register, because of course button register is on the other page. And then we did the same thing with button log on, except of course we have to cast it to button because it's a button. And then we set the on click listener for each of the buttons. Now down here in the on click view, we can do our switch case statement. Alright, so we went over here, created our switch case statement, just like the other one. We're getting the ID of anything that's clicked up here. If it's button login, we're going to toast log into database, because of course we got some coding to do. We got a PHP file to make and all that stuff. So right now we're just going to have it log into database. And for this first test, just to make sure it's working, when we click that button go to register, the little click here text view, we're going to toast go to register page. And if that works, we'll come back and we'll grab the Fragment manager and we'll actually have it go to the register page. So let's go ahead and test this out. We're going to run it. Alright, so we're on the login page. So if we click here, what should it say? It should say go to register. Go to register page. Yep, that one's working. Click here. Log into database. Alright, so let's go back over here. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to change this so that when we click on this one, it actually takes us to the register page. Because it's going to be very important, because eventually we're going to hide the register page. Because we don't want all these at the bottom here. We want it so we go to login, and if you're not logged in, then you just click here and it would take you to something and you can't see it. And this is kind of the whole purpose of this login thing, because eventually we're going to have pages that you can't get to unless you log in. So let's go over here. How did we do that before? We go to main activity. Well, actually, let's go to register. register fragment, because we've already done the little extra work by making it final and all that stuff. So we'll grab this piece of code right here. So it's the same thing. Go back to your login fragment, paste it right above the switch statement. Of course, yes, you want to import the stuff that it needs to work. Okay, then we go back to the register fragment, and if you remember, go all the way to the bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to grab that line right there, Control C, bring it over here. We're going to get rid of the toast. So just go over it and then Control V. And of course, we don't want to go to login fragment. We want to go to register fragment. So here we're going to change that to register. And run it again. So now we should be able to bounce. Oh, that's not what we want. All right. So now when we click here, go to register. Click here, back to login. And of course, you click here, please fill in all fields. Click here, back to login. Alright, so it all seems to be working. So go ahead and end this video here, and when we come back, we'll go ahead and start working on getting this all programmed, and maybe in the next video actually setting up our PHP and logging into the database. Alright, we'll see you in the next video.